it weird that I brushed my teeth in order to do this video?
Everyday paint.
Hey, so today I wanted to chat with you a little bit about why I have stopped doing stretch canvases, because I have noticed that a lot of artists, when they want to do paintings, end up thinking that, we have to do stretch canvas, and that can get really bulky, especially when you're working in a small space. So what I've decided to start doing is I use these big rolls of unstretched canvas, which you can get them for a lot cheaper than you can get stretched canvas. The roll that I'm using is actually 84 inches tall. So if you just have it, it's 7 feet tall, which biggest issue is getting that home. But once you get it home, it's great, because then you have just these yards and yards and yards of fabric that you can use to paint on. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to have these really long strips of canvas on the wall, and you can just tack them in at the top, and then you can work on them as long as you want to, and it's only on your wall, right? So you have a pressure, something to work against. And then when you're ready to take it down, what I've started doing is I've started hemming the edges, because it gives it a feeling of being finished, and then I'm able to actually hang them on a dowel, and that's turned out to be really cool because it gives this sense of the painting is moving, right, rather than just being static and plastered against the wall. And I've also started to notice that the energy of these pieces is really different than stretched canvas, and I'm actually really starting to connect with that, because rather than constantly having the fabric be tight, and pulled taut, which is what we're taught to do when you stretch a canvas, right? So when you pull it really taut, all the fibers are really tense, and you can feel that tension, I think, in a piece. And all of a sudden, these pieces feel more relaxed because the fibers aren't being pulled. It's really fascinating to see how that happens. And so they actually flutter a little bit. If there's movement in the space, they'll just move a little bit on the wall, because they actually hang about, an inch or two away from the wall, because on the dowel, they hang away. And it's actually been really fascinating to watch these pieces become living, breathing entities rather than images, right? Rather than reflections, they breathe. So I just wanted to share that you don't have to be stuck with big bulky canvases that you have to then store in these big storage systems or on a wall, or you know what I'm talking about, right? When you have really big canvases, it's hard to move them, it's hard to get them in and out of places. So with these, you just take them off the wall and you roll them up. Simple. You roll them up if you're transporting them. So rather than having to hire a U-Haul in order to move these pieces, I can roll up something, and it's now, it may be as wide as, 5 feet, but that's still a little tube of that is 5 feet is a lot easier than a 5 foot by 7 foot painting, which I would have to have an entirely different moving system for that. So I have found that this is really helping me to work large in a way that's accessible, even though I live in a tiny space. And it's also helping me to re-envision my relationship between fine arts and craft, because these are now starting to have embroidery elements, and they're hanging like tapestries instead of paintings. And I still very, very much feel like these are paintings. They're not fabric pieces, right? Like, they're not sewing works, but it's starting to help me feel like there's even more of a handmade element to it, a little bit more of a gentle touch to these pieces, rather than like a harsh metal frame or a wood frame. There's a softness to it. So I just wanted to share that, because I felt like maybe that technique might be helpful for you, especially if you're a parent working in a small space during a pandemic, when you're still wanting to be able to work and maybe you don't have access to your studio in the same way. Also, with shows being different, our work is now in our house all the time instead of out in a gallery space or out in a museum or wherever it may be normally. So I hope this is helpful, and if you have questions, let me know. I'll be happy to talk to you more about why I'm starting to work this way, the pros and cons of it. I'd love to chat with you more. And if you have alternative ways that you're working, especially with paintings right now, let me know in the comments below, because I would love to hear your perspective and the new solutions that you're finding. All right, have a great day.